Gun shop employees, what are some red flags that have caused you to deny a sale of a firearm? I used to work in a large outdoors retailer. I had a man come in for a gun that refused to give me his ID. Also didn't want to give me his name, address, date of birth or any other info. He said he should just be able to answer the questions on the background check and that should be all I needed. Sale denied. Is that something you call the cops about, just to be safe? What's the policy on something like that? My manger escorted the man from the store to his vehicle and got his plate number. While he did that, I called around to all other stores in the area to give a description and the gun he wanted to buy. My boss may have called the police, but this was like 18 years ago, so I'm not sure. It sticks in my mind still though. I think the guy was really just a loner type who lived out in the country and wanted a new hunting gun. Finally, one that I can answer. I was living in Alaska for a year and picked up a part-time job in the winter as a gun counter clerk at a national sporting goods chain. One slow evening a kid comes in, by kid I'm talking college-aged, and starts staring into the pistol case. I ask him if he wants to see one and that I'd need his ID to verify his age, etc. All's going well, it's obvious he's new to guns. I ask him what his intended purpose in use was in order to find what might suit his needs. He says he wants a cowboy-style gun and all he wants to do is to go shooting to let off steam, that his mom teases him for always being on the computer and growing up a pussy. The more I talked to him, the more I realized he was just a closet weeboo/otaku. My brother's a full-on weeboo, so I told the kid about how they had a big group of friends who met once a year during Anime Expo or Comic-Con San Diego. Kid was straight up starry-eyed, told me he wishes he knew people like that if he had friends like that he wouldn't have bipolar issues. In the end I told the kid not to buy a gun, save up his money and get the fuck off of Alaska. I swear I've not had a happier customer. Dude didn't even buy anything. His mom sounds like a bitch. I really felt for him too because my own dad was like that to my brother. One time my brother asked if he could use my backpack for school because my pops was chastising him for using his Idolmaster messenger bag to carry his books in. My dad was giving him shit, calling it a purse and whatnot. I told him to tell my dad to fuck off but still gave him my backpack anyway. I no longer live at home but lil bro still does. My brother absolutely hates my dad even though they're very similar. Already posted one here, but another doozy was sketchy bloke comes in and wants to look at lever action shotguns. Before this thing's even left my hands he's smashing the lever as hard and fast as he can. I asked him to not do that and had to explain to a grown-ass man why it's not okay to roughly handle a brand new anything that you haven't bought. He's got one of those 5-year-old kids, he keeps interrupting us talking cause he wanted to hold the gun. I turned my back to double check price and when I turn around I'm looking down the barrel of the shotgun the father's handed to his kid and hear the click of him dry firing it at me. Ripped it out of this kid's hand and told the dad to get the fuck out and dad starts abusing me cause I hurt his kid's hand when I pulled the shotgun away. Having his kid dry fire a shotgun in my face isn't that big of a deal apparently. The scariest thing is that dude probably just went to the next gun shop, acted the exact same way, and probably walked out with enough firepower and nonchalance to do some real fucking damage. Yeah, it's hard to turn people away cause next gun shop over doesn't give a fuck and will sell anyone guns. So we're just turning away money, not the ability for someone to access a firearm. Although stuff like this is always met with a firm get the fuck out and don't come back, don't want your kids or your kids' kids anywhere near our shop. Obvious straw purchasers. Dude A asks all the questions and does the shopping and dude B, or girlfriend, wants to fill out the background check and pay for it. Get the fuck off. Edit, a lot of comments about gifting. What I'm talking about is something different. Imagine a couple people showing up that just enjoyed some meth or brought in a cloud of weed along with them. I'm not talking about a dude and his girlfriend picking out a gun for her or something. Edit 2, some people complaining about my weed comment. I don't have anything against it myself, but it's illegal to own firearms and smoke weed. I wasn't being hyperbolic, people actually come in smelling strongly of it. If you smell like weed but Mark, no, I don't use any illegal drugs, on the 4473, federal background check form, then I no longer feel comfortable selling to you because the rest of the responses could be lies too. Former gun shop employee here. An automatic ejection from the store was when the customer asks which kind of firearm is effective for harming or killing people. I've personally called the police on a few sketchy buyers. All came through with having warrants or issues. My boss didn't take this kind of shit lightly. We had short team meetings every week to ensure everyone understood what goes on. He was an excellent boss. I want this for home/personal defense, not asking what gun is good for harming or killing people. This is a very good question. The wording is important for understanding what kind of firearm they're looking to purchase. Most folks licensed to carry will already have a personal preference. So they tend to have an exact specification. There will always be new users looking for a personal defense firearm and need suggestions to move forward. I will usually bring them to the range and show them offerings. At this stage, new customers are better off being informed, educated, and introduced to getting their carry license. Concerns for home defense aren't just lethality, but noise, portability, reliability, and penetration. You don't want to go deaf, blind, and shoot through to your kid's room with an unwieldy mankiller. I also observe the attitude and posture of the buyer. Certain attitudes or postures of buyers, and their friends, are typically dead giveaways for a straw purchase or attempted illicit purchase. I've had at one time a person ask to pay extra money to receive the firearm off the books. He was greeted by the local sheriff outside. Most people buying for home defense will not ask me if a certain firearm is good for a group of people or armored police officers. That guy got wrangled by the police. We get lots of people who use us for transfers. They buy online and then the gun comes to us and we handle the background check. One guy had done a transfer with us previously and I got a bad feeling about him. Nothing concrete, he just bugged me. A few weeks later, he called again for another transfer. The gun was coming from Alaska, so I told him it was going to take a bit longer than usual and I'd call him as soon as it arrived. The next day, he called wanting to know if I had a tracking number yet. I didn't. The Alaska Federal Firearms License only did business by mail. How the hell a letter was supposed to get to Alaska overnight, I know not. Again, I told him to be patient. Fast forward a week and he calls me 3 times. He lets slip that the dealer in Alaska won't talk to him and he needs me to be the go-between. That's a red flag. Sellers normally communicate with buyers. He was acting really sketchy and impatient, so I had decided to deny the sale. So, I called the dealer because this was getting sketchy. The dealer told me he canceled the sale. Interesting, never had that happen before. The dealer said, and I'm quoting here, "That guy is a serial killer in the making." He'd harassed the dealer several times a day starting on the day he ordered the gun. The dealer said the guy knew the sale was canceled because he told him and refunded his money. That settled it for me. I wasn't interested in handling any transfers for him. When I finally blocked his phone number, 2 days after talking to the dealer, I had 35 missed calls from him. TLDR, guy was super impatient about a transfer, harassed the seller and spooked him pretty badly. Logged 35 missed calls to my phone in 2 days. Why did he want this specific gun so badly? What type of firearm was it? Since we never took possession of it, I don't know. It never went in our acquisition and disposition book, so I can't check. As to why he wanted this particular one so badly, no clue. We've had competitive shooters do transfers and they get a bit twitchy if shipping takes a bit longer. They sight in their guns before competition, but this guy wasn't a hunter or a competitive shooter. I like it when they make it obvious for me and, hopefully, joke about shooting at schools/protesters. It happens more than you would think. Also, don't send your friend you were browsing with to try and buy the exact same firearm that you wanted 15 minutes after I told you I couldn't sell to you. Our range rents out firearms for trap/skeet shooting. Had a lady come in asking strange questions like, does it hurt if someone gets shot with it? And also acted weird when she answered a call and told the person that she was at a coffee shop. She left, and we called the cops to file a report of a suspicious person. Do cops where you live actually take reports for suspicious persons? Last time I called it was because a person wearing a all black a ski mask and a Guy Fawkes mask started walking at me yelling, "We're cool, I'm not gonna hurt you." They said they couldn't do anything because it wasn't a crime. Well, when it involves a federally licensed firearm dealer, the cops will take it very seriously regardless of where you live. My range is a FFL holder. Might have been. The lady might have wanted a painless death, and had a past of attempts, thus lied to hide that she was at a place where she may have intended to harm herself. Most of the gun ranges in my area that rent weapons have had at least one. Paperwork accuracy is a big issue. It has to be 100%. If your government-issued ID doesn't match the info you put on a form and you don't have any of the allowed supporting information, then no gun sales to you. Had one guy come in only with the title to his car. No gov-issued photo ID. He spouted some BS about sovereign citizen, blah blah. We took his info and blacklisted him in the computer. We didn't want to be associated with that type of folks. We would also ask what the intended use was for and lead them with a certain hunting season. An example would be, okay, why do you need a .22 rifle? Going to hunt some deer. If they would answer yes, no gun. The .22 rifle, while capable to kill a deer, is not allowed in our state's hunting regulations, or any that I know of. Big red flag. We had a protocol that if we got strange customers, like folks asking for one bullet, seemed like they were just trying to get any gun, making threatening statements etc., we would make them fill out their section of the 4473 form, photocopy their ID, then deny the sale. This way we could involve law enforcement as needed. If we just told them no, you have nothing else than a shitty description and some security camera footage. The one that really sticks out is the guy who in the course of small talk / feeling out the customer asked if he could walk out with the gun that day. We told him that if the paperwork was acceptable and the background check came back as a proceed then he would be able to. He follows up with good, now I can ice my bitch of a wife. We had him do the paperwork, copied his ID and denied him right there. He was pissed to say the least. He finally left. We called the cops and they followed up with a wellness check. Turns out he was just a shithead. Still blacklisted him in the computer. Back when I used to work behind the counter I had a guy who wouldn't stop sweeping customers and employees with the muzzle of firearms he asked to see. I warned him several times to stop. When he deliberately aimed it at a customer I immediately took the pistol away and kicked him out the store. That kind of unsafe behavior is something I won't tolerate and I certainly denied sales back then and I will deny training if I see it on the range now. I'm not a gun owner but isn't the #1 rule of owning a gun not pointing it at someone else? And why do it in a gun store? Some people do this accidentally and never do it again once corrected. Some people feel the rules aren't for them and get pissed if you call them out on it. Nothing makes me happier than to kick these people out. Fortunately, I've only had to do this a couple times in my career. Most people are competent and inherently know aiming firearms, loaded or not, at living beings or things that you don't want to destroy is a fucking stupid thing to do. I worked in a gun store for about a year and a half. Had a couple guys come in asking for cheap firearms. Okay, no big deal, people are on a budget. Been there. So they give me a price point of about $250. Again, no big deal. They want a handgun, not a revolver. Showed them a used High Point, Canik, and a couple of cars and a Keltec. They asked me to disassemble to see the serial numbers. Kinda weird but figured they just wanted to make sure the guns matched up or something like that. Then I overhear them talking about blacking out the serial number. Ask them why they want to black them out and if they knew it's illegal. Say that they wanted untraceable guns. Nope. Told them to leave. How come all these places just show them the door and not call the cops? Surely if they try enough stores and fail, they'll eventually succeed. In Illinois you need a firearm ownership ID card to buy weapons. We don't let anyone touch the weapons unless they have that. So I got their name from that and told my boss. I believe he called the police but I'm not sure. They could have just been some crazy, big brothers coming for me types. Either way, they seemed pretty far off. I should have mentioned the police did get involved. Never found out what happened though. I guess my boss looked at footage of the parking lot and gave the police the vehicle they were driving as well. Drugs. Had a guy come in one time with his family and wanted something cheap. He had all these track marks on his arms, scabs on his face, and was really out of it. I did my best to tell him no without making a fuss and finally had to say something about the track marks in front of everyone. Not a good day for him. I guess he'd been telling his family they were from something else and they believed him. What are track marks? Track marks are the little bumps that are left behind after injection. I'm not sure of the anatomy behind it, but if I was guessing I'd say it has something to do with damaged veins under the skin. A Google image search would probably give you better info than I could. Gun license photo, in Australia, looked nothing like him and he couldn't tell me the name or birthday on the license. I asked because there was the lack of resemblance between him and picture and a big red flag when he picked up a rifle and pressed his eye hard into the scope to look through it. Just walked out with his head down when he was told we're keeping the lost/stolen gun license. Can I ask the significance of pressing his eye hard into the scope? I know nothing about guns. Your head sits a few inches behind the scope so you don't end up with a black eye after firing and you can't see through them properly if your eye's hard up to it. And to even get your eye to the scope you have to hold the gun wrong in so many ways it just screams I have no fucking idea what I'm doing. Had a guy come in and look at handguns. He finally decided to buy one and when I did his background check he was denied as quick as I hit enter on the computer. I gave the guy the pamphlet and the info he needed for being denied and him and his friend left. 10 minutes later his friend came in and said he wanted to buy the gun for himself. I told him that I would not sell him the gun just because he was with the previous guy. The guy jumped up and down angry, trying to tell me I couldn't do that. I just politely told him that as an FFL I had the right to deny the sale of a gun to anyone for any reason. He left angry and cursing me and my family. An hour later a woman came in and beelined for the same gun that the guy wanted. I gave her the benefit of the doubt and let her do all the paperwork. When she gave me her form she had put the same home address as the first guy. I told her that I would not sell her the gun because she lives with the first guy. She proceeded to tell me that she hasn't seen him in almost 3 years and he's a piece of shit and hopes she never sees him again. I tell her that I'm still not selling her the gun, and after some arguing she ends up leaving. After all of that I pulled the gun off the shelf for a couple days in hopes that no one in my store would accidentally sell to someone he sent in. Then I called the ATF to let them know about the guy's shenanigans. Jumped up and down? How old was he? In his 40s. I did front-end code for a lot of small firearm companies that use National Firearms Dealer Network, Gearfire websites to sell guns online. You wouldn't believe the amount of successful fraud there was in purchasing $10,000 scopes. However, the worst customer that one of them told me about was a man who had murdered his girlfriend a few days after purchasing a gun. She, gun shop owner, unfortunately didn't see any red flags and lost her business over what happened. She was forced to close for investigation, but by the time the investigation was completed she had lost too much money and couldn't afford to keep paying the lease on her location. Fraud? Well, do tell. Basically, scopes are a very expensive firearm accessory that you are allowed to have shipped to your home. People would use a stolen credit card, then purchase an item and have it delivered to abandoned buildings, empty lots, no idea why the UPS drivers would leave the package there. The main issue is a lot of firearm dealers were set up with drop shipping, so as soon as an order was created it went directly from the distributor to the customer without the dealer ever seeing the transaction unless they manually log in and look. Unfortunately it was very risky to use drop shipping due to fraud. Thermal scopes can get expensive. Worked at a large outdoor store in their firearms section. Had a customer come in and ask about a precision rifle, chambered in .338 Lapua. Then while handing him his background paperwork he asked, how far can this bullet hit a human-sized target? He said he was buying it for big game hunting. A little sketchy, I know. I gave him some answer, at least 1,000 yards, but I'll get a definite answer. Walked in back to find the manager, who was the only person who can deny a sale, explained what happened. Manager had him fill out paperwork and get his ID, then denied sale immediately after. And the kicker was he used his Chinese passport with a student visa as his ID. Police were called and they took it to the FBI. Saying stupid stuff. Avoiding conversation and eye contact. Consulting their partner who they were hiding outside. Yes, we can see you out there. Some get by though. Husband and wife were looking for new turkey guns before the season. She came in later that week and picked up new hunting gear and shotgun, walked to get car and shot herself. Lots of be on the lookout phone conversations with other shops. Being near a city kept us on our toes. I tried to copy as many IDs as possible. In New York you can only handle handguns with a permit, so that reduced a lot of knuckleheads. Did she kill herself? If so, was it intentional? Or did she just shoot herself in the foot or something? She had ammo from elsewhere, fatal gunshot wound to the head. I left early that day, but my coworker who dealt with that situation was really devastated. I've had cars stop ahead of me on a bridge where the person has jumped, which is messed up, but seeing this as a process of buying the gun, going through National Instant Criminal Background Check system, then ending up killing yourself in a parking lot. That bothers me. My brother-in-law did this. Dropped his kids off for school, went to Cabela's and bought a gun, drove to his work parking garage and shot himself. We honestly didn't see it coming. He needed help and didn't know how to get it or ask. This is sadly a too common thing. I wish Texas had a waiting period, but that may have not changed anything anyways. I don't work in a gun shop, but I'm an avid collector and conduct private sales every so often. In my state, there's a couple of modest rules that have to be followed. You can't knowingly transfer to a prohibited person. You can't transfer across state lines. You can't transfer to a minor unless they're a family member, that kind of thing. Due to my state's proximity to Illinois and Chicago, and the relative ease of obtaining a carry license, the carry license has become kind of a stand-in for background checks that private sellers can't do. I ask for a driver's license to show residency, a carry permit to show this person would pass a 4473 background check if I ran one, then have them fill out a bill of sale basically saying, I promise I'm not a prohibited person. Any legit gun enthusiast can breeze through those requirements. People who get shitty about them set off red flags for me. This one dude super sketched me out, and I took some screen grabs of the conversation. Basically, he was from out of state and tried to cajole me into selling him an AK pattern rifle. After double and triple checking the relevant laws, I told him I wasn't comfortable with a private sale, but I'd be more than happy to go to a dealer and pay the transfer fee. It's legal to transfer to an out-of-state buyer if you do it through a dealer. We'd have met at a gun store and taken 10 minutes to do it. He wasn't happy with that. He sent this random gun collection picture, claiming to already own several machine guns. They weren't, so obviously he can't be a prohibited person. Then he tried the, whatever, I'll just buy from someone else move, probably hoping I'd be in a hurry to sell. Never be in a hurry to sell. I bid him on his way. I maintain a no-sketch policy for sales. There's always another buyer out there who won't give you shit about basic S covering. A week later, the rifle sold to a completely normal dude with a valid permit who lived in the next county over. I think the guy was just an idiot, not a criminal straw buyer or an aspiring mass shooter, but when someone argues with you about the law and tries to pressure you into a sale, that's a red flag.